Welcome to this week's Cruiser Customizing Tip of the Week. I'm Kelly, here with my co-host Kyle. This week we're going to be talking about motorcycle baffles.
The motorcycle baffle is an extremely simple item. It's really a piece of rolled metal that has some sort of end cap on it that then bolts into the end of your exhaust pipe. But it's an imperative piece to keep your motorcycle running efficiently.
When I hear people talk about baffles, it's either baffles or no baffles, but there are a lot of options.
Yeah, that's really a common misconception. Normally people have their stock exhaust pipe and they want to find ways to make it louder. Drilling out the ends, cutting out baffles, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And then when people upgrade to aftermarket exhaust pipes, they say, whoa, these are really loud, how can I quiet down just a little bit?
Most aftermarket exhausts already come with baffles, with the exception of Samson and a few others. But they really do serve a purpose.
Well, the baffle's main purpose is to, one, reduce noise emissions, and number two, provide back pressure that your motorcycle needs. So completely removing the baffle out of the back of your motorcycle isn't going to give you the best performance. You're going to lose low-end torque, and that's really not something that the average cruiser rider is going to want.
Well, there are so many different baffles on the table. What are the differences?
Well, here on the table we have really a mixture of things. We've got a straight-through baffle from DG Hard Chrome. This is going to allow you to have a completely baffleless sound while still maintaining some back pressure. These two baffles here, which are pretty much your standard straight-through baffle. And then here on the table we have Quiet Baffles. Vance & Hines Quiet Baffles here and Cobra's Quiet Baffles over here. Most of the aftermarket pipes that do have baffles are going to have some sort of baffle like this right here. This one here would be a spiral cut baffle that's more the can opener style. This example here from Samson, as you can see, the perforations are much smaller. What this is going to do is it's going to make this baffle a louder baffle than the previous.
So while you have this up here, I want to point out this screw. This is how all baffles attach to your exhaust. Now, measuring to find the right size baffle is really easy. Let us show you how. So the first step is to measure across the exhaust tip to find your inside diameter, which in this case is 3 inches.
Awesome.
Next, you find your appropriate baffle. Slide it into place. Once your baffle is installed, you go to the back side of your pipe and install your set screw.
For a really long time, Vance & Hines was the only one in really the motorcycle industry that created a quiet baffle for their aftermarket pipes.
Well, why is that? Why would somebody want to put a quiet baffle on an aftermarket pipe?
Well, most of the standard baffles that come in all of the aftermarket pipes are pretty high pitched. What the quiet baffle does, it doesn't really make it a ton quieter, but it really takes all the sharp high notes off of that tone and gives you a really nice deep rumble.
So here we have the Vance & Hines quiet baffle, and here's the Cobra. Why do they look so different?
Well, Vance & Hines and Cobra have taken two different methods when it comes to quieting down the exhaust pipe. So why don't you come on in and take a look and we'll show you the exact differences. What makes them slightly different is how they channel the exhaust. Here on the Vance & Hines baffle, what's going to happen is the exhaust is going to come down the pipe and hit this end cap. It's then going to slow it down. That's going to quiet it down some. It's then going to go up and over through these louvers right here and into this chamber. Inside this chamber, you might be able to see that the holes are much smaller, and then the outside is wrapped with fiberglass. This has been Vance & Hines' method of producing a deeper, more rich exhaust tone. Now this Cobra baffle that Kelly's holding over here is constructed slightly different. What's going to happen is the exhaust is still going to come down the exhaust pipe and hit the end. It's going to flow up and over exactly like the Vance & Hines pipe. Now what Cobra's done different here is that air is going to then go into this chamber, and once that exhaust gets into this section right here, it has no choice than to come back out these holes as they've welded in a chamber that's then going to divert the exhaust gases out here, back up and over and under, and out the end of the pipe. Well, Vance & Hines chose to use the fiberglass packing as a way to quiet their pipe down. Cobra just used a second level of diversion in order to quiet that down and to give it that deep rumbly sound.
You mentioned earlier, most exhaust pipes come with baffles. A common question we get is, how do I quiet down the baffle I already have?
Great question, Kelly. Here at Cruiser Customizing, we sell fiberglass packing. Just like Vance & Hines has quieted this baffle down by putting a layer of fiberglass around the outside, you can do the same thing with your baffle at home. If you take the baffle out of your motorcycle, take some fiberglass packing, CC muffler packing is the part number, cut off the excess and slide this right back into your exhaust pipe. You'll be surprised at the difference that just a sheet of fiberglass will make in the end of your exhaust pipe.
For those of you that are handy, you can actually make your own baffle.
With this universal baffle material from LA Choppers, it's really pretty simple if you have the proper tools. If you have access to a welder, you can go ahead and create a ring on the end that will be the size of your inside diameter of your exhaust pipe. You can then chop this down until you get the perfect tone, weld on another cap to hold it in place, and you've essentially created your perfect quiet baffle.
Necessary to make your bike run properly and keep your neighbors happy.
Thank you for watching this week's Cruiser Customizing Motorcycle Baffle Tip of the Week. Until next week, take care and ride safe.